Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 20. And if I have to introduce our very special guest, shame on you today and twice on Sunday. It's Kelly from Ready, Set, Drone. Kelly, how are you this evening?
Fantastic. I could be. I couldn't be in a better spot, and happy to be with you guys.
Well, we're very happy that you're with us this evening. Ron, how are you this evening?
Well, Bill, I still got that tropical storm offshore here, so it's been a very windy day today. So much that you don't even want to, venture too far from the house because it's that windy.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Marcus, how are you, sir?
Yeah, doing very well. Raining here as well. I would love to get back out to the Snake River Canyon with that Mavic Air too, but no such luck. Too much wind and rain.
No.
A few days, we're going to get back out there.
We need to take a trip down. We need to take a trip down to Austin to get that good weather Kelly's enjoying.
Today would have been. I actually my work has been slow and it's kind of picking up. So today was like one of the busiest days I've had in weeks, which was great. I needed it, but no flying for me today.
Yeah, see, I had the same thing. My work was. I was pretty busy, and I had a pretty busy paced day today. And it's really kind of interesting for me because my wife's working from home too, so it's kind of like the two separate environments and everything, and try not to cross paths and everything. So, but the printer is in where she's working, so a lot of times I have to go grab stuff off of that.
You find yourself in the back of Zoom calls a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's like hello, and it's just I've heard this was funny. I heard on the news tonight. There are people that have been trying to crawl under the camera, and they see people crawling on the floor trying to avoid the Zoom meetings. I mean, it's just absolutely hilarious. I sent Ron and Marcus and this was funny. There's this family, and I think they're from North Carolina, and they've been doing parody videos, and they did one, and it was quarantine's not quite over, but it was done to Michael Jackson's. Help me out here, guys.
Beat it,
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
Nice.
Oh, it is just so spot on.
Oh yeah, like Billie Jean, Quarantine.
I'll send you. I'll email you the link to that.
Quarantine is not quite
over. Yeah, oh yeah.
It writes itself.
Put my robe on. Get the mail. Turn around. Okay, it's pretty good. Well, anyway, okay. First of all, I want to ask Kelly, how have things been for you during quarantine, the family at home, and all that kind of good stuff? How are things going for you?
Things are good. I will say, I typically day to day work for a video production agency and business. I'll just give you that perspective first. We kind of found out things were going to be serious during South by Southwest. When South by Southwest got canceled, that's one of the biggest weeks of the year for us. We film film premieres, we do interactive stuff, we do book signings, we film all this kind of stuff, and it all got canceled, and that was like, oh no. And then kind of after that, things started slowing down. We started working from home more. There aren't a lot of shoots going on, but what did pick up was live streaming. We have a studio with a very fast internet connection with fiber, and that's actually where we're going to do Spin Up this year, is in that studio. It was like, we're doing all these live streams, but the family's been good. We have not been so locked down that we can't go outside. I mean, and we have a nice yard. We have a park nearby. So I've been my kids' school. So we've been going out, flying a little bit, and it's been trying, but not as bad as it could be for me. I feel very lucky to be where I am.
Well, that's good to hear. And well, for me, yesterday I got a text from my younger son. He works in food service at an assisted living facility, and found out that one of his coworkers, who hasn't been at work for a week, was tested positive for COVID-19.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, I have two sons, and one's 25, the other one's 35. And, and I told him, and I looked it up, and I found out I got them registered for free tests in the area. I said, all you got to do is show your driver's license and you're good to go. So they're going to go do that tomorrow. But it's been 7 days. It's been 7 or 8 days. And I told him, I said, the clock is ticking. When you get to 14, you pretty much can think that you're pretty good with that kind of stuff. So
can't you be asymptomatic still?
Yeah, you can be asymptomatic too. And they've been pretty good, because I've been telling them, of course, my wife and I have been taking supplements. We've been taking like vitamins. We've also been taking zinc as well too. So I sent them some zinc, and of all things, they didn't have a thermometer. I said, so I bought them a thermometer, sent it to them on him. I mean, that was one of the things you couldn't find on Amazon.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They were very hard to find.
Yeah.
But wow. I scored one for them and got that sent out to them. So they're going to get a test. They've been feeling fine, and I told them, I said, as much as possible. They live in a it's not real big 2-bedroom apartment, and it's just like, okay, you guys, try to do your best to stay apart, but it's like next to impossible in a 2-bedroom apartment. So,
well, don't you live, Bill, like right on the water?
Yeah, we live on we have a lake right out behind us. It's a man-made lake, but it's right out on the water.
So you can go out and get fresh air pretty much anytime.
Oh yeah, we've been going out in the backyard like forever, and we've been wearing. Well, my wife's still wearing a mask, but when I went out going out to fly, I haven't been wearing a mask. But I've gone to our big trips have been like to the pharmacy to pick up stuff through the drive-thru, because we've had all our groceries delivered by Instacart.
Nice. So
we didn't even have to do that. So first question I wanted to ask you tonight, Kelly, and then I'll let Marcus and Ron get dibs in here. You mentioned Spin Up, and and this is exciting because it's going to be something that's going to be such a totally different experience this year. Why don't you tell everybody what's in the works and when it is and all the 411 on this?
Yeah, so the intent this year, I was really struggling with this, right? Because I obviously wanted to have it again. It's growing. It was so much fun 2 years in a row. I mean, it's been such a wonderful, and you guys know this, just well received by the community. I felt like it's getting some traction with speakers, and so all of a sudden, can we have it? And then all of a sudden, it's like everybody's doing virtual events. It makes sense to do a virtual event this year and kind of allow a lot of this stuff to settle till people are more comfortable traveling. Nobody's putting their health at risk. And also, quite frankly, who knows if we would even be able to have that kind of event at that time. So it's going to be virtual. It's going to be on September 12th, which is a Saturday. And it's going to be, as I said, at my office. We've had the ability through some work we're doing recently to build several sets, like really nice looking areas within the office space where we live stream from. I've got more and more equipment because live streaming is becoming more part of my company's business. So we have access to that. So I think we can produce a really high quality show for, I'm thinking like 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. until 3 in the afternoon, 5 or 6 hours. So my encouragement would be to have people come and go, drop in, drop out. I'm hoping to get a lot of people to contribute content remotely. So that might either be live like this or via a pre-recorded message. And I also think that's going to allow me to get some folks that wouldn't normally travel to come down to this event. They'd be like, hey, I can record a video, or I can hop on a live stream for an hour, or it wouldn't even be an hour. I think I'll have more presenters for a shorter period of time. But then the coolest thing, you guys probably know that DJI has agreed to sponsor the event. They are offering currently, in terms of prizes, I think I'm going to get one of everything. And this is the first time I've told this, but every consumer drone they make in their lineup currently, which is pretty cool. I mean, they've given me in the past Mavic 2 and the RoboMaster, but I think they've been very generous with what they've given as far as their high-end drones and such. But then the other cool thing is I just got confirmation that DRL is actually going to be an official sponsor, the Drone Racing League. So
wow,
they're gonna commit to some kind of giveaways, to cross-promoting the event among the FPV community, and also having some of their pilots participate, remotely, most likely.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. See,
I'm really excited because I feel like this is a good chance to bring more FPV pilots into this group.
You're going to get such a great mix, and I think the thing is too. I think should like maybe the year after it'd be okay to physically meet. Okay, I think you're going to have I think you're going to have a good problem, capacity issues. Okay, because I think it's going to probably go through the roof.
Well, I do hope so. I mean, we went from about 65, 70 quote unquote paid tickets the first year to almost 100 last year, and so it's those first 2 years are very telling. But ultimately, for me, it was so nice to meet in person. It really felt very intimate. So I'd love to hear ideas either in your, from your community, Bill, and in the chat, or from this group here that, we're all on right now. If you have ideas on ways to make it more personal, please suggest them, because ultimately, to me, that's what it's all about, is being able to connect with people. So then part two, so that's kind of the main thing. The DRL thing, I haven't announced that to anybody. This is the first time I've told anybody. I talked to their PR person 2 days ago, and she said, yeah, we're in. So which is really awesome. But the other thing that I have announced, although we're still trying to lock down the date, is a late September or early October meetup in Colorado. So you guys are familiar with Sean Oz. Sean has Ed Ricker and I went up to visit him and do some drone flying earlier this year, right before all this stuff hit. I'm so glad we went. We got to snowboard. We got to see snow, got to walk on a frozen lake. I know you guys think that's probably funny, that I think that's really cool. I'd never walked on a frozen lake before. So totally new experience. But Sean has this beautiful location in his little town of Dillon, which is, I'd say, about an hour and 15 minutes outside of Denver. And there's a spot right on the lake. It's a pavilion. It's like a community thing. We can rent it for the day. There's no issues with flying there. We can fly out over this lake with mountains all around. And I thought, what a great place to do an in-person meetup. And so we're going to do that afterward, about 3 weeks to a month after. So it'll be two components, the actual online thing and then this meetup. And the meetup won't really have speakers. We're going to do like a barbecue, maybe do like a talent show, those kind of things. So that's I'm excited about. I'm actually almost more excited about that than I am about the event, but I'm excited about both.
That's awesome. Marcus, Ron.
I just want to say, Kelly, we had Sean Oz on ZinoNation about a month ago, because he wasn't really doing much because he can't work. He couldn't work for a while. So he came on and he told us about, the idea of doing spin up his community. And he had all these great ideas, I guess you guys have talked about, and it just sounded terrific. And then it all kind of got derailed by this, terrible coronavirus. But I'm glad that, you're still going to pull some of that together for that meetup. That sounds exciting. Sean had so much energy for this event. It was incredible, Kelly.
Oh, he's super excited about it. And I'll tell you too, just to interject real quick, I do hope that I can get everything locked down. I'm trying to, in the next 2 weeks, before I do my next live stream, which is monthly, I'm trying to get everything locked down so I can have a registration page with all the data so that we can commit to people buying, if they're going to come to that event afterward, buying a ticket. Here's the thing, right now, tickets are so cheap, right? The price can only go up. You could probably get a round trip to Denver from just about anywhere for less than $200, I would think. At this point.
Yeah.
Or maybe less than 100. It just depends on the deals that are going on. So I'd almost say, if I can get it out there, it's one of these things too, where the airlines are being very, very, I don't say generous, but they're being very good with their return policies. Like if cancellations happen, so I feel like I could probably get a lot of people to commit to coming to Denver if it's not that expensive to buy the tickets now. And if for some reason we're still in a quandary at that point, hopefully you could just refund the ticket and use the credit later. So I feel like the time is now to get people interested. I'm actually buying tickets for several trips at the end of the year now, so that I have them.
Locking that prices in.
That's smart.
For $100 or $200, even if it goes south, it's better than a $600 ticket is what I would have normally paid for something.
Oh yeah.
So
Marcus, do you have any questions?
Marcus?
Spin up.
Well, mostly except to say that, Kelly, I really loved that video you did with all the cameos from people from Spin Up over the years.
Thank you. The song, the greatest song about drones ever.
Yeah, that was just so cool. I mean,
Thank
that
you.
was undeniably cool.
I wrote that song, and it's funny because I actually sang the original version, and I sounded so terrible that I had to have my buddy sing it. Like he played the lead guitar, and I played the rhythm. And then I sang the track, and then he was kind of mixing it for me. He's a real musician, and he was trying to be nice, we're gonna add some reverb, some more reverb, we'll add some more reverb. And I finally realized at some point, why don't you just sing it for me? And he did the vocals, and it was much better.
That's awesome.
He didn't have an auto tune.
It didn't help. It didn't help.
But your drone skills are impeccable, Kelly. I will say that. Okay. we'll just leave it there.
Thank you.
Hey, one quick thing. We're going to have a virtual spin up this year. Can we have a virtual Friday night dinner at Sam's Boat where I can get that delicious seafood and you can get that nice band to play again? That was, I mean, I love it, but I just love to start. That Friday night event was just like, sitting outside in that warm weather, getting that delicious food.
It was a beautiful night. Yeah, no, that I appreciate that. And they were just like so friendly and nice, the management there. Anyway, I'll do my best. I do think though, if we end up having the spin down event, we would do some serious barbecuing in Colorado.
That would be fantastic. Well, I'm kind of wanting to, we'll look forward to getting the information, and as soon as we get it, I know Ron and Marcus will blast it out on ZinoNation and on their own channels as well. And you got it here because I think it's a great. Your concept this year is fantastic. I mean, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, kind of.
Yeah. So. And I'll be honest, I didn't think it was fair to everyone, because I think some people are at more risk than others, right? And so ultimately, if you look at the average crowd of the four of us, the average age of the four of us, we're all way over 50, right? And so at this point, statistically, I think a lot of this audience is more reluctant to travel right now than I would be comfortable having travel. I don't want people to put themselves in the feeling that they might get something. So I thought the virtual event kind of had that going on. And the other nice thing is by doing the live event after, we're putting a little more time between us now and then. At some point things have got to get back to normal, but I feel like the longer we wait, the more normal it'll be.
And I think you're right along those lines. I know here in Florida, looking at the numbers are really bearing that out. I mean, as time is moving on and as they're doing things in a wise manner, I think we're gonna kick this thing. I really do. All right, one of the big things, obviously here, the Mavic Air 2. I mean, it's just on everybody's radar right now, so to speak. I mean, that's a bad term, but it really has kind of set the tone right now for DJI. And it's kind of like you had the Mini, now you have the Mavic Air 2, and then you have the Mavic 2, and then probably something else coming this summer. It's like Mama Bear, Baby Bear, Papa Bear kind of thing. One of the things that struck me right away, Kelly, about this is from just having the Mini and then having this is it feels solid. I mean,
it's it is a big jump up from the Mini. It feels heavier. It feels more solid. I do want to interject one quick thing though. You mentioned about something maybe coming out over the summer. I did get a commitment from DJI that if something new comes out between now and spin up, that would be included in the giveaway. So
wow,
so that's kind of cool because it would be it would just create a little more buzz. So they said whatever is currently announced at that point will be in the giveaway. So I'm excited about that. But I didn't want to love the Mavic Air, but I do. It's just so quiet. It's so smooth. It's so fast. And I was flying it in sport mode and in regular mode, kind of whipping around this field the other day and just letting go of the stick and watching. They all do that really well, but it seems to be like Goldilocks. It's like just right in terms of size and the Mini just feels a little tiny and light and as it should be. And the Mavic Air 2 the Mavic 2 Pro or Zoom, those feel more substantial, but they feel a little bit more like a truck. The Mavic Air 2 feels like a sports car.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a fantastic analogy because it's like that was the first thing I said when I picked it up. It has some it's substantial. One of the things though that I found during my flights and we kind of talked a little bit about this last night on ZinoNation is when I was doing my precision landing test and flying out. It was like I said, it was a pretty windy day. I had the gimbal pitch. It was doing that several times, and I had to adjust it because of the wind. I mean, I was really kind of surprised. I mean, that really kind of took me back because it's like it was like 15-mile-an-hour winds. I wasn't really expecting it, and I was at 100 and then 200 feet, but then it didn't matter where I was at. I mean, it was just just kind of doing that. It was just
I had the same issue on my return to home a couple of times when I was sending it out. I just saw it kind of like for a second just kind of drop down, and I don't know if that's a calibration issue. I don't know if that's a software, if that could be updated with software, if it's a physical thing. It only happened and it was very quick. Like it just kind of happened and disappeared. I was looking down at my screen and I was like, oh, did that just happen? And then it happened again. So I've experienced the same thing.
Yeah, I've had the same thing happen too, and it happens when you're flying into the wind, and when I have the gimbal pitched up that I'm getting, like 1/3 of the ground, 2/3 of the sky, it pushes it back down, so I'm getting, mostly ground or whatever. And I've had the same thing happen in my Mavic 2 Pro flying get into high winds.
Where did it go sideways or it went down?
Just went down. Just right there. Just dipped it went from being raised just a little bit to being down just a little bit.
It's like the wind caught it on top, like an airfoil.
Yeah, and I fly a lot at the beach, so I get a lot of strange gusty winds that most people don't see.
Marcus, how about you? You haven't run into that, have you?
Yeah, so I haven't had that specifically happen, but what I do know is probably the first video I watched on the Mavic Air 2 was Billy Kyle's, and he mentioned that on his very first flight. So, yeah.
Well, that one of the other things for me is, and I noticed this, after, I don't normally go through a ton of batteries at a time, but my first time out, I went through all 3 batteries. Okay. And
it's a long flight time. So you must have flown quite a bit.
I was just going to say that flight time. I mean, it's just like they really kind of tweaked everything they could in terms of getting flight time out of this. It was just, I was just so impressed with it, Kelly.
So have you guys heard about this thing where if you use the multi-charger for the first time, it might brick your battery?
Yeah, we had.
So, anybody experience that?
No, our friend Lauren Donauer, he works up at a DJI store up in Canada, and he's been on the show occasionally with us. He's in the chat tonight as well. He's the one that told us about that, and he said he called it a gang charger. He said don't use your gang charger at first, or you could brick all your batteries.
Those Canadians,
so gang charger. Yeah, gang charger. I was like, okay, Lauren, we give up.
You're putting petrol in the battery.
Yeah, it's like,
my wife's actually Canadian, so I can say that, I guess. is that considered racist? What is that? If you Canadians, anyway. So here's the thing. I actually didn't know about that. And I did charge my, so I had the Fly More combo. I did charge my batteries the first time with the gang charger. I like that term, actually. I did charge it with the gang charger, no issues. So I've run all 3 of those batteries down and back up, and I assume it's either going to happen right away, or I don't know. Is it something that could happen delayed? Or do you think it would have happened
right away? The first time you do it. First time you charge your batteries to do it that way, and then since then I did it on the multi-charger, and mine's been fine.
Well, Laura did preference that. He said by the time you get yours, a firmware update may have fixed it. So say you got your Mavic Air 2 and you did the firmware update like right away, like a lot of them did. That may have fixed the problem before you even got to the point where you're charging batteries.
Well, and when you get that inconsistent firmware error and you have to slide and then you wait for your battery to update, that's happened every time, like on all of every time I've used a new battery, so it's 3 batteries. Each time I put a different battery in the first time I got that firmware, inconsistent firmware thing and had to wait.
Now, one of my subscribers, and I wanted to ask you this, Kelly, he's of the opinion, and kind of, with the Mini, when he was doing firmware updates with the Mini, to do them via DJI Assistant versus doing the over-the-air, the Wi-Fi. And he actually put a video together. Richard Law's his name, L-A-H. And he put a whole video together about that, saying a lot of times. His name.
Sorry, hold on. I'm just bringing up the chat here.
He put a whole video together.
Trying to mute that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and what he basically said was, you can run, for some reason, doing it over the air via the Wi-Fi, you sometimes might miss stuff, even though it says it's complete, because he did some investigating, and he did it that way and was having some issues with the Mini, and then he backed that out, and then he did it with DJI Assistant, and then he didn't have those issues after he did that. So his opinion is to do it with DJI Assistant versus Wi-Fi. And and I have to say, it all depends. One of the things through the years, it's like it all depends on when you're doing it, because a lot of times I found if DJI servers are busy, okay, it's just gonna croak no matter what. But if you pick the right time, it's gonna go through.
So you're saying it's more about the timing than it is about the platform?
Yeah, that's what I think as far as like using DJI Assistant too. I think it's better. I kind of agree with him after watching his video, but I didn't know if you've heard anything about that or not.
DJI Assistant is actually extremely useful for calibrating a variety of things. You can actually, have you ever gone through the whole process where you calibrate the camera?
I did that with the Phantom 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just actually, so one of the things I was going to try was using the original goggles with the Mavic Air 2. So I just updated the firmware on my goggles, which I hadn't used in probably 6 months. But that I did that through DJI Assistant. So it's powerful. I probably pull it out every 2 months or so. I mean, I've done all my other updates via the app, but I always do them at home on my Wi-Fi. We have pretty good internet here, so I do it here before I go out in the field so that I don't run into that issue of it just spinning.
Yeah, and
I think. Billy, so you touched on something there. You are able to use your goggles with the Mavic Air 2. Is that correct?
Watch the video. No, I actually haven't tried it yet. So here's what I was told, because I asked somebody at DJI. There's a firmware update coming out that's going to allow you to use the smart controller with the Mavic Air 2. But supposedly they're not supporting the goggles. But they've been, I don't know. I've gotten bad information before, so I'm going to try it. I'm just going to see if you guys use the goggles, like when you go in and you hit link and it shows you the list of drones that you can link to. I don't know if you've seen that, but anyway, I'm going to try it. You will be able to use the goggles with a cable. So the new firmware update on the goggles and on the smart controller will allow you to pull. So if you're flying the Mavic Air 2 with the smart controller, you can just hook a cable to the goggles and then you'd be able to do it that way. But through OcuSync, here's the thing: I don't understand why it wouldn't work, because OcuSync 2, I would think that's the compatibility side, because you can do the Phantom 4 Pro V2, which has OcuSync 2. You can do both the Mavic 2s, which have OcuSync 2, and you can do the Mavic Pro, which has the original OcuSync. All work wirelessly with the goggles. I don't know why the Air wouldn't, but there's a bit of a rant.
Well, it was real interesting that right before it was, I don't know how many weeks ago, last year I got selected as being a beta tester for the smart controller with the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0, and I can tell you what, Kelly, it was just like it's almost like Nirvana flying the Phantom 4 with that smart controller. I mean, it was just.
Oh, I love the smart controller. It's
one
really,
of that.
It's a luxury. I mean, is it necessary? No, but once you use it, it's so nice.
Like you don't want to go back. Well, what was funny, David from Kluge Tech Time, he had it too. He had the beta, and then we kept emailing DJI and never heard anything. And then finally, I emailed him and I said, is there any plans moving forward to make this permanent? And they said, we have no plans at this time. And then what? Less than 6 weeks later, boom. Okay, it's out on the smart controller.
Yeah.
Well, it was just.
Well, let me ask. The Phantom 4 Pro V2 that you were flying, was it the Plus? Did it have the built-in screen? Okay, no. So I have the one with the screen, and that's also a comparison that I kind of want to look at. Is the smart controller better than that? I mean, it's a different form factor for sure, but it's really just a matter of is it? I don't know, that screen that's on there, I think, is a 5-inch Crystal Sky screen, so it's very nice on the Phantom 4 V2 Plus.
That would be good, because especially down here in Florida, and when you're at with the sun, I mean, it's just like You got to have something like that. It's just it's just too bright. It really is.
And so many damn things rely on your phone now. I was trying to actually use an Insta360 to do some 360 video with the drone, and that actually you have to have your phone to control the Insta360. So then what do you do with the Mavic? Too many devices.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. I mean, we've been of the consent. I mean, we had fun the night of the launch. Okay, we had like a pre-show on my channel, and then we flipped over to ZinoNation, and it was a lot of fun, especially because we're all quote unquote shut in and whatever. We just made it a night of fun.
It was a nice thing to get excited about. I do think I agree with you. I think it's really nice when you have something to look forward to, speculate about. I mean, you guys always have the scoop on these things. I don't know who this mysterious person that's always giving you information, Bill, but I'd like to meet this guy.
Oh, he's a good guy. He really is. He's up in Canada.
Hey, real quick too. I just want to say. I mean, I don't want to go all Ken Heron on you with the super chats, but you got 3 super chats. Stephen Ewing, £5.
Yeah, Stephen Ewing, Jeff Voigt, and Jaybird Drone tonight, and Metro Drones. Thank you guys for the super chats. Fantastic. We really appreciate that a lot. I mean,
we're getting more than usual, Kelly. I think you helped bring some good super chats to the show.
It must be the pretty face.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, imagine if I have Ken on and his pretty face.
And his, you know what it is? I think it's Pavlovian with people on his show because they want to hear that cash register sound. Cha-ching, cha-ching, every time he does it.
Or the sticker song, either one.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw Ken Dono. He did a video, and it was like one of his first flights up the Mavic Air 2. He was down.
Oh, he crashed it.
Yeah, he crashed it. Okay. And I would have paid $1 million to have been on that rooftop to have heard what he had to say. He was with Michael Barrington there. Oh my gosh, that just would have. But he was smart. I mean, I got to give him a lot of credit because
that video took some guts to put out. I mean, he basically put it all out there.
He put it all out there, and then he also was smart in how he did it. He says, I could have gone higher in the air, but then I just decided to, just hit it up against the building and let it fall down. And he used the find me part on the app, and he found it, which he was real
it was still flyable, he said, right?
Yeah, he showed it, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That thing's almost like a tank. It's like, they said, a lot of people said with a spark, they ran it into trees and buildings and stuff. And
I actually crashed my pre-release Spark, which was a bummer. Fortunately, I was almost done with my video, but what do you do then? You call them and say, hey, that drone you sent me, could you send me another one? Hey, you got another super chat from Joshua Lighting.
Joshua, thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right,
in Kelly's defense, you pre-release Spark that was out without the controller, right? So you had to do you fly with your phone, right?
No, I had the controller.
Oh,
Spark. No, I'm sorry, Mavic Mini. Mavic Mini. It was the Mavic. No, I didn't crash my Spark. I crashed my Mavic Mini into a wall in my office. Like I was flying it indoors, and I just I was being dumb. But sorry, it was the Mavic Mini, not the Spark.
Okay. Hey, Kelly, you may not be able to say anything here, but just nobody's listening but us guys. Did you have that Mavic Mini at spin up?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
That was hard. That was hard. That was.
I was going to say it had to have been like pulling teeth when you have something like that.
You're up on stage, and I sometimes just get a little aggressive with what I say, and that's why I was not having anything to drink. I didn't want to get
Look at this.
So next time we're all together, you guys need to buy me shots, and you'll hear
we'll hear everything.
Drones, yeah.
Guys, right before a new drone comes out, we know what to do. Let's get on the option. Let's take Kelly out for another trip. We'll know everything, guys. I mean, it's just
as much as I. You know what though? I didn't get an Air. I didn't get an Air too. I don't know why. I talk to those guys pretty frequently while I was planning spin up stuff, but I have to say DJI has been great to me. As I said, they're sponsoring spin up, and even though certainly there are they're the 800-pound gorilla with the target on their back that everybody's after. But I think for our community, for the folks that make these kind of videos, I do think that I actually was really happy to see some folks like Felix with Quadcopter Guide in Germany. I don't know if you guys know him, but he got an Air, and I was really glad to see him. I want to see more people get it. It seems like it's always the same people, myself included, and so it's nice that they're kind of like, Bill, you said you got the pre-release of the smart controller, and it's nice that they're kind of doing that. So I think it's kind of cool. Yeah, I was bummed, but at the same time, I wasn't that bummed.
Well, and that's something Ron and Marcus and I kind of talked about, because we kind of think, like you and Rick Smith, for starters, getting it. Rick didn't get it this time either, so it's like, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Well, Aldrin Estachio got it. We kind of figured that, but then it's like the iJustine and some of the other ones. I don't even know if Casey. I haven't watched.
No, who was missing? That's what I was just gonna say. Who was missing? Casey Neistat has not had a Mavic Air 2 video, so he must not have got one.
I don't think he's making as many videos. I think he's kind of slowed down on his video making.
Yeah, well, he moved from New York to LA, so I don't know if that was in the mix or not. Kind of want to change gears up here, and I know this subject is near and dear to Marcus and Ron's heart, and Kelly's too, the Skydio 2. But before we say that, I just want to let Kelly know I got the reservation, and the day I got the reservation, I decided to go ahead and cancel my order for Skydio 2. Okay, and everybody's going, "Are you nuts? What are you doing? Okay, or is your head screwed on straight?" And I said for reasons for me, yeah, because one of the persons I talked to was Ken Dono, and he was one of the first persons to get it and to try it, and he was telling me. We went out to dinner with he and his wife for Christmas, and he said, "Bill," he said, "you made a smart decision, not getting that." He said that was actually a very wise thing, because he said being a it's not quote unquote a normal drone. Okay, he said a lot of people have expectations for a drone. And with the Skydio 2, it's not like he said he just started going off on a litany of reasons about that. So I'm going to get out of the way here. I'm going to let Ron and Marcus go for it with Kelly. Well, first I'll ask you, Kelly, how have you liked Skydio 2?
I am amazed by it. It's a different animal. It is. It's not what you're used to. But I've had it on with my bicycle all around my neighborhood, and I've had it on an electric skateboard and on a scooter. And as far as chasing you, here's the thing. Here's what it does really, really well is with the beacon. And I have to actually thank Rick Halber, who lent me his beacon. I still have it. So Rick ordered the beacon with his. I wasn't able to order the beacon because they didn't have them by the time I was kind of low on the list. But anyway, I have Rick Halber's beacon, and with the beacon, it will follow you relentlessly, and it will do so. Here's what blows me away. You're riding your bike, and it's behind you. You push the button on the beacon to go in front of you, and it doesn't go in front of you slowly. It goes, and it's in front of you. And it doesn't matter if there's trees. It doesn't matter what there is. It goes around. It's not failed on me at all. Now, I saw Billy Kyle put it in the water. So I know that's a possibility, but so far for me, as far as following me goes, flawless.
Two things. Number one, I don't think there's another drone that I own that puts a bigger grin on my face than that Skydio 2. And number two, the most underrated thing on that drone is the camera. I don't spend a bunch of time color grading or anything, and the video straight off of that camera is phenomenal. And then, of course, everything that everybody else loves about it as well. And I know Ron can speak more to the camera than I can.
Yeah, I totally agree with Marcus. I love the camera for people that don't want to color grade, people that just want good video right off the memory card. That's a drone to get for that reason. And just like Marcus said, when I first got it, was taken out and playing around with it, I had more fun with that drone playing around with the winner than anything else. Like, yeah, it's not a Mavic 2 replacement, and I don't think it's meant to be. And that's what a lot of people like Bill, it's a good reason it's good to Bill cancel, because if you expect to get a Mavic 2 Pro replacement, it's not. It's like you said, it's a different beast. But again, I have more fun taking that out than I do any other drone. But I'm going to throw this caveat in. Since I did the recent updates for the app and the firmware update about 2 weeks ago, because I'm on iOS, so they always come out about a week after the Android updates. All of a sudden now, it doesn't follow the beacon as well as it used to. And for the first time ever, I've seen the gimbal shake now.
Wow. Well, now, so they just released a firmware update 2 weeks ago. So I guess the developers, because I know their manufacturing and shipping is shut down, right? So maybe the developers are still working remotely.
That's a possibility. So they about 2, maybe almost 3 weeks ago for Android, they released a firmware and they did an app update. And I've seen, again, it's before. I flew it twice since then, and it's the worst performance since I've had it with this recent firmware update. It could just be my drone. Maybe I did something wrong with the firmware update, but something's up with it. And so actually, Sean Oz said the same thing on his most recent video with the Skydio. He said he's going to contact them because he had similar issues to me in a video where just recently he still had enough snow that he had to follow his snowboard down the side of the mountain. He had similar issues to what I'm reporting.
There's a couple of comments I want to just read about it, and that was where'd it go? It was Lauren was saying, biggest thing I don't like about the Skydio is the video always looks like it's hunting, not smooth. I think my problem, I haven't tried to use the Skydio in any sort of cinematic way. All I've done with it so far is whip it around the sky really fast, pointing the beacon, sort of the lightsaber force thing. So I can't really attest to how it does under more controlled cinematic situations. But I do think that Sean, we've referenced Sean several times. He made a really good point that the Skydio, to me, the camera or the video you get looks a lot like a GoPro Hero 7. So I have a GoPro Hero 7. Like if I put my Hero 7 next to the Skydio's footage, they look almost identical to me. And the Hero 7's a great camera. It does a good job. It's a look, right? It's a very distinctive look. It's kind of got a little bit of a blue tint to it, in my opinion. Just if it's running in auto, But I've not seen the hunting thing that Lauren was referring to, but I know what you're talking about.
Billy Kyle told us a while back. He said that he heard rumor that some of the engineers that worked on the video for Skydio 2 were former GoPro employees. So maybe they brought a little of their know-how over from GoPro, their color look to it. And also, I had 2 points to make there, and oh man, I forgot the second point of something you just said. So it always happens to me. I never want to have 2 points because I never remember the second point.
Kelly, I wanted to ask you: did you get the controller with it?
Yeah, I did get the controller, and I've only used it a little bit. I've mostly used the beacon. It's funny because I actually enjoy flying it with the beacon more. Now, I did actually, with Sean up in Colorado, I did use the controller flying around in the pine trees. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to, I say this is nice, I don't know if this is good or bad, but you don't have to pay a lot of attention to where you're going because it goes around stuff so well, right? You can kind of throw the stick backwards and it'll kind of hunt its way through the trees. I hear the big issue with the controller is range. And that, but Rick Halber also sent me, he had ordered 2. So along with the beacon, I have a range extender that he sent me, which I haven't actually tried yet. Anybody tried it?
No,
I don't. I'm not a big range guy. I've got it out like, I've got it out like 2,500 feet or something like that, or whatever, with still have PV. So it's good enough for me. Again, I'm not really a range tester. I like basically filming things that are, within eyesight, so.
Yeah, keep it legal.
One of the things that, and I talked to Ken a little bit about this because he was with the Skydio, that, it was, I hate to say the controller was an afterthought, but it was just like, okay, Parrot, sell us some controllers and slap our internals in it and do what we need to do and make it good, and I know both Ron and Marcus can speak to it because, it's an Anafi controller is really what it is. Yeah. And, and I think, and for what Ken did a test with Michael Barrington early on when he had it. And I really liked this video. What Michael did was he kind of chased it with a Mavic 2 and he had the camera pointing at it because early on there was no telemetry data. Okay. The app didn't, when it first came out, the telemetry data was missing until I think the first firmware update. Yes. So they had no idea how far out they were. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So he went with Michael to do that, which was actually great thinking because he had no idea. And then all of a sudden he completely lost. I mean, and it wasn't that far away. It was maybe, I don't know, 1,500, not even quite 2,000 feet, lost his FPV view. And then next thing you know, was coming back. I mean, it was just, it just quit. So, he said the one thing, is that controller. It's problematic. So, I would really like to see if Skydio, I mean, I know with the coronavirus and all that and being shut down, but if maybe they could give some thought to if they put out a 2.5 or something, or if they do an upgrade, that they have some kind of an upgraded controller with better range because, say what you will, that was probably even more than the noise from the original Mavic Air. That was probably the number one complaint. It was the range with the Mavic Air.
Yeah.
And I think, for a lot of people, that's the number one question is range right away.
Well, I agree with Ron too. I've done some range tests, and I don't know why people love them. They get lots of views, and I'm actually I'm going to go up this summer to the St. Lawrence River, and I'm thinking about sending my Mavic Air down the river. See how far it'll go. I don't know if I should do that or not, but I know it'll get a lot of views. But regardless, I agree. You don't need to fly your thing 2 miles or 3 miles or 4 miles away. There's really, I mean, it's illegal and it's really not. I don't see the purpose of that. But you also don't want to lose the signal, like you just talked about. That happened. You don't want to just have it suddenly drop and you can't see your screen anymore and you don't know where it is. So that's where OcuSync, to me, you want to be over provisioned as far as range goes, right? So if you're going to fly it within a mile, you want it to have the capacity to go 3 miles, right?
Right.
I've got a question for you.
If you fly in a area with heavy Wi-Fi interference and you only want to fly a mile, but you may be behind buildings or something at that point, and you need that extra strength to penetrate structures and you penetrate through heavily Wi-Fi infested neighborhoods. So that's a good point, Kelly.
So Kelly, one of the things that the Skydio 2 kind of brought to the forefront was tracking, right? And three-dimensional obstacle avoidance, etc. And so that got me to thinking about my Mavic 2 Zoom. Well, it has all that, and I never really messed around with it much. So I tried it, and it works really good.
Are you talking about just the where you draw a square around yourself and it tracks you that way?
And it tracks you. Now, the Mavic 2, you can lose yourself with it, right? If you duck around a tree or something, it can lose you. But as long as you stay, I mean, it'll follow you around just like the Skydio will, really. I mean, and not hit anything. And in fact, it's even a little freer because it'll go lower. If you don't have to take that floor off like you do on the Skydio.
Yeah. Once you take that floor off the Skydio, I have a quick question though for you guys on your first Skydio. And Bill, sorry, we're kicked out on the Skydio, but I have a quick question for you guys with the Skydios. First time I flew it, I took it in the backyard. I set it all up, downloaded everything. It took a little while, charged the batteries, and just wanted to. I wasn't even filming. I was just gonna try it and just kind of get the feel for it. First thing it does is goes up, and I don't know why it did this, but it goes up over my house. Like it just kind of took off to a certain distance and then just hovered there. And that was such an unusual thing for me because most drones, whether it's DJI or otherwise, when you hover, they just hover. But this one just decided this is where I need to be, and it went there, didn't hit anything, and it was still within line of sight. It wasn't even that far. But as it's heading toward my house, I had a freak out moment. But then I realized, okay, it's got cameras. It's not going to hit the house, right? That would be a big fail. And it just was up over my roof and just kind of hung out there. And then you mentioned, I think actually this is the first time I was using the beacon. So
Right.
I had to push the beacon and kind of bring it back in to get it back down. It is hard with the beacon to bring it to you and get it to land. I don't know if you guys have experienced that.
Yes.
It does. And what you experience, Kelly, is when you use the beacon to take off, it immediately goes into a mode where it's looking for somebody to track or something to track.
Yeah.
That's why it went up, because it must have not saw anything right away and immediately went up searching. Like I've seen, like the first time I used the beacon, my very first flight of the beacon, it like couldn't find me for a while. Like I had to really walk around, but once it had me, it had me. But it was like,
hey, I'm right here.
All over, up and down, looking. And like you said, I would have worried with any of the drone, but I knew, well, there's no thin wire for this to hit or some thin tree branch. It's not going to hit anything big. So I wasn't worried. But again, like you said, I'm running around like this, and Adventure saw me. I was good the rest of the flight. I found, Kelly, the best combination is to use the beacon and the phone both, because flying that thing with the phone is really nice. Like, I mean, I know you've probably flown two drones in the past with phone. It's a bad experience.
Yeah, it's usually not that great.
Yeah, it's a good experience here. But if you're using the combination of the beacon and the phone, you have extra controls on the phone, and you can still use the beacon simultaneously at the same time.
And I think it actually tracks you better if you have the phone in your pocket, like if the phone's on your person.
Yeah, right. You have basically got a backup or whatever. It has two ways to track you. Well, like Billy Kyle's very first video where he's skateboarding, along that path, he goes to that bridge. He's got a combination of both, and I think that is the best combination to have both going. But the control, I mean, Marcus always get the point. But the controller, outside the range issues, a lot of people not going to control, but they're all dyed-in-the-wool DJI guys. Marcus had both of the Anafi, so we're used to the controller, so it wasn't as big as a hurdle as people who've never flown anything but a DJI drone before. In fact, Billy's recent video where he's flying the Altel, and he's kind of pinging it. A lot of people got on him saying that he's too used to DJI, and I think that's part of the problem with the Anafi and controller with the Skydio, that it's people that have never flown a non-DJI drone before, and they're just not used to the controller. But Marcus has a point, and I've talked too much.
You're just fine, Ron. I was just going to make a quick point. Is if you guys really want to have fun, and talking about the drone going over the roof of your house, Kelly. So I made a video where I mowed my lawn, my backyard, with the Skydio following me around.
Oh, nice.
You want to get the attention of your neighbors. Let me tell you.
So it followed you around while you were mowing?
The whole time, yeah.
So battery life, like were you able to get the whole yard done before?
Was able to get the whole yard done, and it was probably, I don't know, it had plenty of battery even after that. But what was fun was watching the gymnastics of the drone.
Yeah.
As you made it, boy, it would zoom out over this way, and just like what you said, Kelly. Of course, all of us were used to being afraid of obstacles.
Flyways, yeah.
And it was flying between trees and over everybody's roof. And
here's my follow me story. Okay, back in the day, this is when I had the Mavic Pro, and the Spark went to the soccer field. And what I did was I put the Spark up at about 150. I put the Mavic Pro at 100, and I actually had the Spark track the Mavic Pro. And it did really well. I mean, for about 150 feet, it did real well. And then I just started to do a gradual turn. It lost it.
Lost it, yeah.
As soon as I did that gradual turn, it was gone. It wasn't anywhere to be found. Real quick, before we wrap things up tonight, I just wanted to get your take on remote ID. I know that a lot of people have been talking about it, and it looks like it's going to come to fruition probably next year sometime. And, it kind of feels like, we went through an exercise of futility in putting in our comments, Kelly. I just wanted to get some of your thoughts on that and what you thought.
You're on the hot seat, Kelly.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny because I don't get worked up about this as I think a lot of people do, but I think that we need to do something, right? I like the license plate analogy that Schulman from DJI used. You know, it is like having a license plate. Now the stickers with our ID numbers is also like a license plate. When it's flying and it's that tiny, that doesn't really do much good. So you need a license plate on your drone so that you can be held accountable. I think what's the problem is that there's a lot of things they're not thinking about that could be solved for, and it seems like there is something at play that we can't really. Oh, hey guys, check this out, dude, going by on a one wheel.
Nice.
So there's a lot of things in account right now that seem like stuff's going on behind the scenes, like the selection of the companies that are going to be involved. Like who decided that, you know? And then also, what happens to everything that's outdated? Is there a grandfather clause for existing hardware, or is there going to be an easy fix for us? I mean, that's another big question. Home built drones, you know, does everybody have to subscribe to a service? There's so many possible gotchas with the current plan that I don't think it's really going to help the industry. I don't think it's going to help innovation. I don't think it's going to help kids with STEM, right? Which is what this country needs right now. I don't want to get political, but we need more kids doing science, you know? Yes. And so this discourages those things. I think we have to do something, but this is not the right approach.
Well, you know, I agree with you 100%, you know, and I kind of like what DJI had proposed because it was leveraging existing technologies and not really going to cost, because, you know,
less dependent on people paying for a service.
Exactly. You know, it's like, you know, the last thing I think, you know, for me, I'm all for safety. And I don't know if you saw recently, and I had to take it down because so many people were posting the videos when the USAF Thunderbirds were in Detroit. Some idiot had a drone up there, and you could see. I was like, "Hello!" I'm like, "Come on, how stupid can you be?" Okay, so yeah, I'm all in favor of something like this, and I like Brendan Schulman's analogy. He's a great guy, and I would love to get him on sometime. You know, it's like, you know, with license plates. Yeah, we all need them. Okay, but you know what? I don't want my neighbor, 2 blocks down the street, you know, to know when I'm up in the air and all that stuff. And, you know, he may be a redneck. Pardon that. I don't want to offend anybody. You know, he may be of the variety, you know, he's going to pull out his gun and try to shoot my drone down. You know, it's like, or
I would say, so I actually differ in opinion on that, Bill. And where I differ is, I feel like him knowing you and knowing that you're flying, I've made it a point to tell all of my neighbors in the immediately, like 3 houses in every direction, that I do drone reviews, and that, you know, I do this not for a living necessarily, but that it's part of, and also I'm Part 107 certified. I fly for work, like I'm the drone guy at our video production company. So typically, you know, and I have a few curmudgeons. I mean, I live in Texas, right? So there's a few rednecks around here. But the point is that I feel like by letting them know. Now, I know what you're saying is, you know, that automatic beacon thing. But I think people are more afraid of what they don't know. So if you want to know, hey, that's Bill flying up there. Okay, it's all good. You know, that's not somebody.
Yeah. So, see, I think you bring up a good point, you know, because, you know, my neighbors all know that, you know, and I've let them know that. I'm like you know, I've told them, like, hey, you know, I have a drone channel on YouTube. You know, you're going to see it up every now and then, you know,
like and subscribe.
That kind of thing. Ron, Marcus, you have any thoughts about this? I know Marcus does.
Yeah. So here's my worry is listen, I am fortunate to be surrounded by a ton of Class G airspace. And in fact, I seldom, if ever, fly in any kind of controlled airspace. So I don't even need to get permission, because there's no need to. There's plenty of places to fly that you don't have to be. They're great places to fly. And I always wonder, well, you know, whose business is it when I'm out there in Class G airspace, out in the middle of nowhere, really? And my concern is, how is this connection going to work if I'm out there and I'm out of cell phone range? Is my drone still going to be able to take off, etc.? So all those are open questions that I have a concern about. Like all of us here, I own a number of drones. If we have to subscribe to a service, do I have to do it for each one of those drones, or is it just a single subscription? Those kind of things are concerns. But to your point, Kelly, I think I'm absolutely fine if I am flying in controlled airspace it is the government's business what I'm doing, and it is their business where I'm flying and how I'm flying it.
Yeah, if you're flying, if the Thunderbirds are going over and you're putting a drone in the air, you deserve what you get.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So in any case, there's just too many unknowns now to really have a full opinion yet. So yeah. Anyway, Ron.
Well, I'm going to cede my time on the that issue and put Kelly in the hot seat again, just real quick here. Kelly, what do you think of the lawsuit Autel has going against DJI about the locking propeller mechanism? Do you think it will ground DJI this year in any way?
Well, okay, so two things on that. Number one, Aldrin from FlightPath just put out a video. I think it was today. By the way, that guy's pace, man, he puts out the videos so
makes my head spin.
I talked to him he and I have gotten to be friends, and oh my God, I'm like, dude, would you just slow down? You're making me feel so guilty for not publishing content. But he's a great guy. He put out a video about about the fact that the new Air, I don't know if you guys know this, you can put the pusher on the puller side, and you put the puller on the pusher side, meaning the one with the white stripe, you can put it on the black, or vice versa. And he kind of said, I wonder if that has something to do with the patent on it, number one. And then number two, and I'm hesitant to share this, but it's not really private, but I was asked by DJI recently to use my Amazon affiliate account and versus their affiliate account. And they used to always push me to really use their affiliate account. I don't know if you guys do DJI affiliate, but
yeah,
it's a great program. They pay really well. Like the money comes, but I got asked by, the guy I work with over there, hey, can you use our Amazon store? Maybe they're just trying to promote it more. Maybe it's a shipping thing, but also wondered if maybe it had something it was kind of the timing was a little bit, so maybe it's like through Amazon they can import these things. I don't know. But I honestly, I feel like this is going to blow over. I mean, Autel, we need the competition, and I don't think this is going to change any major course.
We talked about it last night on ZinoNation, and I'm glad Ron brought that up. And, and my thinking, Kelly, is this. DJI's legal team will have Autel's legal team for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then martinis afterwards. I mean, it's like they're trying to make some way, and I can understand Autel. They're probably cash strapped. They probably need to get infusion of cash because before CES they had to get money from the parent company over in China to be able to get their booth at CES this year. I mean, they were that cash strapped. So I mean, I think it's going to blow over, like you said. I really do. Guys, let's have some closing thoughts. Kelly, you want to go first?
First of all, thank you to all three of you guys, and also to everyone that tuned in tonight. You had a good turnout tonight. I'm impressed. A lot of good comments in there. And sorry, I was kind of bouncing back and forth between the StreamYard and the actual chat. So just appreciate being on here. I don't hang out with you guys as much as I'd like to, so I appreciate the invitation, and I will definitely keep you guys apprised of what's going on for SpinUp, because I think that this year I really think we have a chance to touch a lot of people, to reach a lot of people. I'm trying to come up with how we make it personal, as I said before. So if people have ideas on how to I think maybe doing some live Q&A is going to be great. Doing some polls, doing some pre-submitted questions from viewers might be good. I don't know. I'm coming up with these ideas, but if you have ideas on ways that we can kind of bridge that connection that we won't have because we won't be in person, please send them to me. And again, thank you for letting me be on. Absolutely, Kelly. Marcus.
Yeah, so I do want to mention the friend of all of our shows, Lauren Donauer, asked me to mention Drones for Good, and that is coming up on June 7th. And I know that's meetups all over the country, and I know Romeo Dersher from DJI is involved with that as well. I put a link in the chat to the Drones for Good international Facebook page. Nice. And and then as far as spin up, Kelly, I'm really so looking forward to that. My first spin up was the one this past year. Yeah. And just like you said, you just put a face to everybody, all the people that you follow and talk to, or look at their videos all the time, and you do finally get to talk to them. So I think you're spot on with putting the personal touch to it. And yeah, thanks for coming on Rotor Talk Live.
Hey, can I ask a quick question? I just popped up on Facebook. Drones for Good International or Drones for Good? Is
Drones for Good International?
Okay. The web page is Drones for Good International.
All right.
The one John Hour up in Canada.
I just requested to join.
They got you.
Oh, thank you.
Ron, go ahead.
I want to thank Kelly for coming on tonight with us, and I want to thank all the hard work he's put in at the first 2 spin-ups. I'm sure this first one, even though he won't have people there, I'm sure this is going to be a lot of work and time consuming for him. And what I want to invite him to, when he's got everything lined up and ready, and he's ready to promote it real hard, I want you to come on ZinoNation and plug everything and let everybody know, and we can, anything you need to let people know, come on the show, and we'll devote a show just to. Last year I was trying to get you to come on for the other spin, but I got Steve Carpenter to come in your place, and he did a great job of laying everything out for everybody. And Steve did such a great job promoting. But we're going to have you on this year too.
100%.
And Steve, and have Steve on with you. We'll have you both on the promote the virtual spin up.
Love it.
So.
Gentlemen, thank you. And Kelly, I ditto everything Ron and Marcus said. It's always a treat to have you on. And and I'll go back to this. When I first started out, my first 2 comments on my intro video were you and Kelly. Who was the other one? Do you know who it is? I know you know him because you sent him. He was one of your subscribers of the month.
Was it Chris Hope?
No.
Who was it?
California.
Was it Steve Carpenter?
No.
Was it Rick Halber?
No.
No, Rick's not in California. Rick is in California. You got to tell me.
I'll give you another clue. He does a lot of radio controlled cars.
Was it Donnie from Big Drone Flyer?
You were first, and Donnie was second on there, and I'll never forget that. Okay.
I have never actually spoken to Donnie in person. We chat all the time on comments. We chat all the time on Instagram. He was my very first, when I came up with the idea of subscriber of the month. He was the first one. I sent him a Spark. It was not too long after the Spark had come out, and he's a great guy. I think that it looks like he takes care of a lot of kids, and he has a lot of responsibility, and so I try to support him wherever I can. His channel's grown pretty well.
Donnie has some health issues, but the good news is Donnie got the Mavic Air 2 in. So
yeah, I saw that. I did see that. Yeah, so he and I were your first 2 comments.
Yeah, the first 2 comments on my intro video, which was my first video that I posted, and
wow.
To me, I mean, that really says it all because. One of the things, and I will say this, is, one of the reasons I'll say, I look up to your channel and I look up to you is you handle everything on an even keel. You're not here, you're not there, you're right at an even keel.
Can I go get my wife? I need her to hear this.
you can recording. I hope somebody says that about me someday, but no, you really are. You're level-headed, you're on an even keel, and I want to thank you not only for what you do online, but also what you do offline. We've had some phone calls before. You've given me a lot of great advice, and I've followed it. You've given me an incredible book, which I really enjoyed, and I'm looking for somebody to pass that book on to because it really it's made a difference. And it's just like, as Marcus started out and saying, with everything that's going on right now, let's be kind to each other. Let's, treat, Mr. Rogers' 3 rules for success in life were be kind, and be kind. And, and to me, that's what it's all about. And, most of the subscribers, most of the viewers here are in agreement with that. We have some great people that support all of us here. And I think we're very thankful for that. And again, Kelly, thank you so much for that.
And don't forget to pump First Friday for Kelly.
And First Friday's coming up because that's going to be not this Friday, but a week from Friday. So make sure
Actually,
Or is
2
that the
weeks.
31st?
Yeah, because it's actually June this year. This time it ends up on June 5th, but I might do it on June 22nd because I might not be able to do it on June 5th.
Okay.
I'll let you know. But just thank you for the plug, and everybody who's watching. If you did enter my contest I am giving away a Mavic Mini. So if you did enter the contest for the Mavic Mini, I'm gonna give it away that night.
So that'll be definitely a reason to tune in. That's for sure. You know, the message out there to everybody is to be safe and you know, just follow what your government is telling you to do. You know, we're getting through this. You know, things are looking better in most of the areas around the world. Just use, you know, common sense, guys, and be smart and be safe and just, you know, just continue to do it. Again, Kelly, thank you so much for coming on. Ron and Marcus, just want to let everybody know, coming up in the next few weeks, I have several great people that we're going to be talking to here. Okay. You know, household names as far as the drone community is concerned. So the next several weeks, and somebody who I've never had on the channel before, but you guys know he's fantastic. I think you'll all enjoy him. So stay tuned the next several weeks. They'll all be coming up. So again, everybody, thank you so much. And, oh yeah, go make sure you watch the Philly and Ron show coming up immediately on Philly Drone Life. I didn't want to forget that. I got a plug in for you, Ron. So everybody take care, and we'll see you next time.